Text 32. Translation. If the personality of Kali, irreligion, is allowed to act as a man-god or an executive head, certainly irreligious principles like greed, falsehood, robbery, incivility, treachery, misfortune, cheating, quarrel, and vanity will abound. Purport. The principles of religion, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, as we have already discussed, may be followed by the follower of any faith. There is no need to turn from a Hindu to a Mohammedan to a Christian or some other faith and thus become a renegade and not follow the principles of religion. The Bhagavad-gita religion urges following of the principles of religion. The principles of religion are not the dogmas or regulative principles of a certain faith. Such regulative principles may be different in terms of time and place concerned. One has to see whether the aims of religion have been achieved. Sticking to the dogmas and formulas without attaining the real principles is not good. A secular state may be impartial to any particular type of faith, but the state cannot be indifferent to the principles of religion as above mentioned. But in the age of Kali, the executive heads of state will be indifferent to such religious principles, and therefore under their patronage, the opponents of religious principles such as greed, falsehood, cheating, and pilfery will naturally follow, and so there will be no meaning to propaganda crying to stop corruption in the state. So again, we have a verse here that is coming from ancient knowledge through an unbroken chain of teachers to Bhaktivedanta Swami's purport that is exactly describing the situation. And it's important to note here that no one needs to convert from one religion to another, as to a Hindu, to Mohammedan, to Christian, or to some other faith. In that sense, the meaning of the word religion here is actually more at the word dharma. We have to look at what are the eternal characteristics of the living entities and act on that. It's like if I can change from Hindu to Mohammedan to Christian or to some other faith, that designation cannot be an eternal designation by the very fact of the matter that it can be changed. So we have to try to start to get beyond these labels of different religious groups and how we've been manipulated into fight with one another because of the designation of our different religions. The basic underlying principles of all religion, if we actually get to the bottom of the situation, are the same. That people are trying to understand the situation that we've come into in the material world, to improve themselves, and to basically go back home, back to Godhead, to live a life of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. And that all the propaganda and hatred is just another way to divide humanity and to manipulate their consciousness, just like black versus white, man versus woman, Christian versus Islam. These are all control mechanisms that we have to start to see through. Text 33, translation. Therefore, O friend of irreligion, you do not deserve to remain in a place where experts perform sacrifices according to truth and religious principles for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. Jageshvar, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the beneficiary of all kinds of sacrificial ceremonies. Such sacrificial ceremonies are prescribed differently in the scriptures for different ages. In other words, sacrifice means to accept the supremacy of the Lord and thereby perform acts by which the Lord may be satisfied in all respects. The atheists do not believe in the existence of God, and they do not perform any sacrifice for the satisfaction of the Lord. Any place or country where the supremacy of the Lord is accepted and thus sacrifice is performed is called Brahmavarta. There are different countries in different parts of the world, and each and every country may have different types of sacrifice to please the Supreme Lord. But the central point in pleasing Him is ascertained in the Bhagavatam, and it is truthfulness. The basic principle of religion is truthfulness, and the ultimate goal of all religions is to satisfy the Lord. In this age of Kali, the greatest common formula of sacrifice is the Sankirtana. That is the opinion of the experts who know how to propagate the process of yajna. Lord Chaitanya preached this method of yajna, and it is understood from this verse that the sacrificial method of Sankirtana may be performed anywhere and everywhere in order to drive away the personality of Kali and save human society from falling prey to the influence of this age. So it may be asked, what is the Sankirtana yajna? Sankirtana yajna means, basically, it means to protect cows and to protect all animals as a kind of a parable, to be compassionate to all living entities. Secondly, it means to vibrate the glories of the Supreme Lord through musical sound vibration. So anyone in any part of the world can gather together with musical instruments and sing the praises of the Supreme Lord. That is the sacrifice that they're talking about here, to sacrifice a little bit of your time in glorifying the Supreme Godhead, the divine couple, the Supreme Creator, and not in some dogmatic, ritualistic way according to some formula, but what is coming from your heart. Also, it means that to accept vegetarian foodstuffs, obviously if we're going to protect cows and other animals, we have to eat a vegetarian diet in order to minimize the bloodshed and the irreligion and the lack of compassion, and how eating the dead carcasses of a satanic sacrifice is affecting people's consciousness, as we can see all around us. So we have to accept a vegetarian diet. Simply vibrate prayer of thanksgiving before we take our foodstuffs. That is also the third feature of the Sankirtan movement. 3 features: the protection of cows and all other animals as a sign of compassion, the vibrating of through song and musical instrument of the glories of the Supreme Lord, and thirdly, to vibrate the sound vibration of thanksgiving to the Supreme Creator and to Mother Earth before we partake in the eating of the foodstuffs. It's not very difficult. It only requires a little bit of time and a little bit of effort and a little bit of change in consciousness, but it's certainly not something that is insurmountable to do. According to the Vedic sages and saints and seers of the past coming up to the current age, this will rectify the whole topsy-turvy situation of current modern affairs. I'd like to thank everybody for listening, and also if people would like to see more information about the Vedic perspective, they can go to my website, protectacow.typepad.com.